The lone gunman. Really? Again? The same script? The same script. They use the same script all the time whenever there's a mass shooting, maybe with the exception of Columbine, but usually it's like a lone gunman, right? And then now you have other witnesses coming out and saying, yeah, there were definitely multiple shooters, just like in Vegas, you know, and they expect us to believe it. You know, I'm just so sick of this. And then, you know, there are people that are just like, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't question the mainstream. You know, when is a good time to stop believing what they say? Because they always lie, like every day, 24/7, right? Even whenever there's a terrorist attack or a mass shooting, they always, there's always holes in the stories. You know, like 9/11, oh, we just found these passports and, you know, what, in the rubble? Like, out of all, you found the magical passports? I mean, that's just one. there are lots of holes in that story, right? There's lots of holes in the Sandy Hook. When I was watching the Sandy Hook, people talk about what happened. I used to work with special ed children and autistic kids. So when they said that an autistic kid committed the shooting, and I've worked with autistic children, and I know that the way that the mom talked about it, he was lower functioning and stuff, and I know they have bad motor skills, bad planning skills. So how could he coordinate a gun attack? You know, then you look at the father that was like laughing and playing before he was supposed to speak. I mean, just really weird stuff, and they expect us to believe this shit as if we're stupid. And the thing is, they really don't change the script that much. It's always the same story. And, you know, people that are in fear and don't critically think and not going to ask questions and are afraid of looking crazy because they ask righteous, you know, legitimate questions, you know, that goes against their common sense. They're, you know, because they don't want to be considered conspiracy theorists, they're going to, you know, just like, oh yeah, I believe everything the mainstream media says, you know, like, really? I lifted a guy this morning and I was talking about what Obama did to Gaddafi, and he was like, well, you don't believe that Gaddafi was like a threat to people? I was like, no, I don't. I really, really don't. I really don't. Because I actually do my own investigation. I don't believe anything the mainstream media says. The only reason I watch the mainstream media now is to see what they're lying about. Because anytime there's a mass terrorist attack that gets footage like this, I'm always like, false flag. I don't even care. They don't get any leeway. They don't get any, you know, leniency from me because they lie all the time. It's like, why would I trust you? It's like going back to a boyfriend that abuses you over and over again, or not necessarily abuses you, but they lie to you. You got them cheating once, and then, you know, you think they're going to be faithful and you stay with them, and you know, you think they might be cheating on you again. Why would you trust them ever again? You know, I don't get it. This appeal to authority is really sickening. And then these sick fucks, these politicians are always gonna, I'm letting you know, you're always so predictable. Oh, we must get rid of guns, right? Okay, when you get rid of your security and your gated communities and your highly secured, you know, television studios that you teleprompter read from, maybe then we can talk a little bit. Because I also notice a trend too, and I'm sure there are exceptions, but I notice a trend that these rich ass people that have the capacity to have their own private security always want to talk about gun control, but you know, but they're not going to give up their security and their safety. It's so frustrating. Like fucking Jimmy Kimmel again, crying like a little bitch. You know, I thought he was a comedian. I thought he was supposed to make us laugh, not cry. Okay? Him always crying about some shit, you know, throwing temper tantrum, whatever, you know, act your age and not your shoe size, Jimmy. Please, it'd be great. So he's always crying, okay? And then you have like, you know, Joe Scarborough, like, when is it time? When is the president gonna protect us? I'm like, God damn, you guys are such wussies. For real. And if you have any common sense, you would know if you take away guns from law-abiding citizens, that the citizens are going to be left defenseless because criminals don't fill out gun-like applications, okay? There's no way. And then you're gonna go door to door and take away people's guns and cause a civil war? I mean, I don't, like, what do you want? Like, I don't, you know, they don't even care about these families. You know, they never talk about the SSRI drugs that most of these shootings are associated with. They don't talk about that. You know, these politicians that are being funded by the pharmaceutical companies, they don't talk about the SSRI drugs because the pharmaceutical companies, the SSRI drugs, are paying their bills. Okay, so you want to get real about it? Let's get to the real source of the problem. Let's talk about, you know, I don't even care. Let's talk about false flags, and let's talk about, you know, how people use these to push an agenda for it. How people use patsies. You know, I don't even think that kid did it. You know, and then when they catch him, if they don't die by suicide, then they always show up like in a zombie-like trance, like they're on drugs or they're on something, like something was done to them. Like the guy that did the Batman shooting, and he shows up and he's just like, like in court, you know? What? I don't see how people don't put two and two together immediately. I think there are people that are putting two and two together, especially after this Vegas shooting. I saw a lot of people wake up and ask questions that that weren't really asking questions before. Because they know, you know, for me, once I saw the other window, I was like done. I was like, false flag, right? Oh, there was definitely more than one shooter. Then you have witnesses coming out and saying that there was definitely more than one shooter, and you know, and then what else would I was totally like false flag. I mean, everything I'm just like false flag. No, it's always a false flag. I don't give a fuck because they always lie. And they never tell us the truth. And when people ask rational questions, they want to make you feel crazy. It's like they're gaslighting you, okay? So if you are watching any next terrorist attack, next mass shooting that comes up, and the holes aren't filled up or the questions aren't answered, which they never are, don't feel guilty about calling them on their bullshit and saying that it's a false flag, okay? Because it is. It always is. Always, okay? I'm at the point in my life now that I've seen that we've been lied to so much that I don't even think that most of these are genuine anymore. I think that there are other parties involved than that one person. It's bigger. It's a large group of people that are working together in tandem to create these situations and bring forth an agenda. So what? So what do people think you're crazy? You know, I think people are crazy that just blindly believe the mainstream media. I think people are crazy that, you know, after even, you know, I think after CNN lied about the Iraq, you know, was really pushing the Iraq war and the BBC, you know, and people are still like believing what they say after millions of people died for basically lying about weapons that Iraq did not have. So they, you know, they didn't do their jobs as journalists, right? If you're going to make a statement like that, you better back it up. And nobody backed it up. All they had was, you know, that really made people want to go to war was like, oh, they took the babies out of the incubators and they put them on the ground. I remember when that happened, everyone was like, oh, that is fucked up. That motherfucker needs to die. So everybody was behind that. And then they're like, oops, psych, no weapons of mass destruction here. Well, after, you know, millions of people are dead and, you know, like there wasn't an agenda to go into that region and get like oil and go into Afghanistan and get opium after 9/11, you know, get control of the opium fields. Like after, you know, Saudi Arabia attacked us, but we go to war with Afghanistan. You know, but people still believe the government. They believe everything they have to say. They believe the mainstream media. They love to believe the lies. But whatever, I'm not, and I feel really liberated because of it. It's kind of comedy to me. Now, that part's comedy. I really do feel for the people that, now I'm calming down. I feel for the people that lost their lives. I was a teacher. I taught in South Central, and I was on lockdown a couple of times. Thank God it wasn't like a mass shooting, but somebody a few times was on the campus with a gun. We kind of waving it around, and they had us in lockdown. But just even that was terrifying to me because I was thinking about, you know, how am I going to protect these kids? I don't have a gun. I don't know how to fight. They have these little ones with me. It's scary. You're not only scared for your life, but you're scared for the most precious thing that, you know, other people are entrusting you with is with their children. So, I know a couple people that have gotten, you know, raped in their house. I was in South Central during the riots, and the thing that saved my dad, he had a story. The thing that saved my dad was the fact he had a gun. Now, he didn't kill anybody, but he shot it, and just knowing that he had a gun, people didn't mess with him. Okay, I've had to call the police. I was in a Blockbuster back in the day, Blockbuster Video, and this disgruntled employee came in with a gun, and I was by the door, so I was able to run across the street. My dad was inside, and there were two dudes. I called the police, first of all, right? I ran across, didn't have a cell phone at the time, ran across the street to a payphone, right? Call the cops, and 911 was busy. You never think that 911 is gonna be busy. So in a state of emergency, if all like chaos breaks loose or, you know, something crazy happens, the police aren't going to be there for you. Thank God that there were two people that were able, then in a Blockbuster, that wrestled the guy to the ground before the police came. You could have hurt somebody, I don't know, you know? But, you know, unless police can travel at the speed of light, you're gonna have to be able to protect yourself. And it's a very disheartening feeling. I actually just finished my license to carry application today, so I'm probably going to be getting a gun within the next couple of months. And I'm gonna start practicing shooting, because things are getting crazy in this country, and it's gonna be either me or them, and if I have a gun, it's gonna be them. I'm not going out like that.